In this episode, we're gonna cover the Ausom Leopard. Meow. Let's go.
They see me rolling, they hating, they trying to catch me riding dirty. Here we go, guys. This is the electric toy hauler. I'm gonna pull the scooter out of the back. We're gonna unbox this sucker for you. I want you to see exactly how this thing comes from the factory. As you can see, it is a box inside of another box. As we carry on here, this is the actual scooter box on the inside. I like this double package. When mine came in, it came in undamaged. It had probably 4,000 pieces of styrofoam holding this thing in. Even though men don't use manuals, this one is legible, the pictures are good, and it has good descriptions. Give this chingale here a little twist, give it your strongest strength, tighten that sucker down. Oh yeah. A couple more things, throw the handlebars up there, a couple bolts, peel the screen off the screen, and then let's see that headlight, baby. Let her shine.
In this episode, we're covering the Ausom Leopard. One thing I want to make sure that I'm clear about is you do not need to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a scooter to have fun. This thing's about 600 bucks and it is awesome, just like the name says. Let's talk about it. Okay, y'all, starting from the front, you'll notice this bike comes with disc brakes. Now, one thing, I'm gonna get the bad out of the way. One thing I wish this bike had for this price point, I wish it had hydraulic brakes. It has cable actuated brakes. Now that's not a deal breaker. The scooter goes about 30 miles an hour. The brakes do a fine job, but hydraulic brakes would be more better. The tires on this scooter, it is a 10-inch pneumatic tire, which means that just takes air and it's not a full plastic rubber tire. So pneumatic tire gives you some dampening also in your ride. And while we're up here in the front, we're talking about the tire, we're talking about the brake, let's talk about the suspension. So this scooter has a shock in the front and it has a shock in the back. Now, you're not gonna find dual suspension on your cheaper scooters. This one's about 600 bucks and the suspension works really great. It's not adjustable like the RS in motion scooter, but the suspension that it has on here is super adequate for my riding weight, which is about 200 pounds. And as you can see, the headlight here on the front, it's got these fins on here. Maybe the headlight gets hot, but it looks cool. I'm not really sure what the fins are for. Typically that's used for as a cooling feature. Maybe the light gets hot, I don't know, but it looks cool. And I like that, I like things that look cool. The light puts off a decent amount of light. Here's a video of the light at night so you guys get an idea of what the pattern looks like. One feature that's pretty rad on this scooter, and they did a great job on this, is this mechanical locking mechanism to hold the, I guess you'd call this the stanchion or the handlebars up. You just unscrew this right here, pull this pin, and it folds down. Now, you might think that's a pretty simple way of attaching the handlebars, and you're right, it is, but it's super effective and it's super strong. Sometimes you'll get a bad taste in your mouth if you're on a cheaper scooter and you get on it and it's really wiggly or it's not very strong. That does not instill confidence, which I don't like. This is super strong, it's super tight, it snaps back in place. Screw this handle back down, too easy, in and out of your car in 2 seconds. Tighten that sucker up, good to go. One of the other things that Ausom thought about when they were putting the scooter together is the height adjustment in the handlebars. Some scooters have the adjustability here on like a 2-stanchion type system like the InMotion RS. This one is built in, so it's a sleeve, the handlebar within a sleeve. You just gotta pull this lever. This is like another safety measure up top. Push the pin and you got adjustment here on where you want your handlebars to be depending on how tall you are. Too easy. I like mine in the middle. I'm about 5'10". And moving back here towards the kind of the middle of the scooter where you stand, this scooter has a 48-volt battery and it's 20 amp hours. The motor on here is 1,000 watts. Okay, it's a 48-volt motor, obviously 48-volt system, and the speed, we're gonna get into a top speed. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. We'll get into it in just a second. What I try to find in a review that I do is the things that no one else talks about or the attention to detail that a company puts into something that might get overlooked, but you can tell that they put thought into it. And for me, that is this kickstand. This kickstand is super rigid. It's just nice and it looks nice. It doesn't look out of place. It's not bulky, it's functional. It's the exact right length. I appreciate that. Another thing on the back of the scooter you'll notice is this step. I call this a step. There might be a technical term for it. I don't know what it is, but this step, the way that this thing feels, it is super rigid. It is strong. And that is confidence inspiring when you're riding this thing on curbs and sidewalks and jumping off of stuff. I don't want a flexible rear step. I don't want a flexible handlebar setup. I need something that's rigid, and this scooter checks those boxes for me. So that's everything down here. Let's take a look at the handlebars, the controls, the speedometer, the gauges, and after that, we're gonna do a range test and then we're gonna do a speed test. All right, so here is our gauge cluster. If you look over here, this just has a pretty generic type rubber grip. It's got metal levers here, okay, actuating the cable brakes. This is the on-off switch. This is the thumb throttle. So this one comes with a thumb throttle. The way you turn the scooter on, it's not complicated, but it took me a second. You turn the key on, hold this button down right here for, I don't know, 3 seconds, and then it comes back on. Here is our gauge. So here is our light switch. This turns our light on and off. This will actuate our blinkers left and right. It's got a horn built in right here. And then this button right here, the one we turned it on, will also change the modes 1, 2, and 3. Up here on our display, we have our current voltage, we have our speed, we have our battery. This is a kind of a battery gauge, and then we have our odometer.
One more thing I want to touch on for you guys is if you are a seated type rider, this scooter comes with a mount that you can mount to the base of the scooter and you can sit on it. That's not my style, maybe that's your style. Just want to let you know, it comes with a scooter, it's pretty awesome. Let's do the speed test.
All right, so we got the Ausom Tiger. We're doing a top speed run on it where the battery is fully charged. We're in mode 3. The claim speed is 32 miles an hour. I don't know about that. We're gonna see if we can get it. I'm about 200 pounds, like I said in my videos, pure granite, the hardest granite you can find. Let's do it. Here we go. Ooh, little wheelie. $17. 20. Come on, baby. 24. 27, 28. All right, so that's the top speed run on the Ausom Tiger. We got 28 miles an hour. And like I said earlier, I'm about 200 pounds, so probably a little bit heavier than maybe some of the women and children that might be riding the scooter. If you're a little bit lighter rider, you probably can get the 32 mile an hour claim top speed. Let's do a range test.
Here we are doing our range test, guys. This is going to be the first leg of the speed test. Here in a second, we're gonna pull up. I got the app, we're tracking the distance. Let's check it out on stop 1.
So far on our range test, we've gone 4.5 miles. I'm tracking the mileage on the Relive app on my phone. And with our scooter, we started with 54.6 volts. Now that's fully charged on a 48 volt system like what this bike has. Right now we're sitting at 51.3 volts. So we've dropped about 3 or 4 volts over the course of 4.5 miles. That's not bad. Let's keep going.
As I'm sitting here and I'm watching myself edit this video, I am reminded about how sturdy this bike is. I mentioned earlier the step in the back. I've mentioned the stanchion in the front and how sturdy it is. The ride quality is really good. The quality of the scooter is really, really good, and I appreciate that. I really do.
So range test check-in number 2. So far, we've gone almost 12 miles on the scooter, and I have 48 volts remaining on the voltmeter. That's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. Now, I am riding the scooter in mode 2, which is gonna put the scooter at about a 20 to 22 mile an hour top speed. Mode 1 is 9 miles an hour, and that's just not fun. 9 miles an hour is not fun. And I imagine that most of you buying these scooters aren't gonna ride them around at 9 miles an hour. You're more than likely gonna be in mode 2 or mode 3. So I wanna give you guys the closest real world distance experience that I can give you using this mode I think you're gonna use the most.
One thing worth mentioning is as your battery depletes, just because you're at 50% battery doesn't mean you're going to get the exact same amount of distance you got with the first half of the battery.
All right, range test check-in. We have gone 20 miles on the scooter and I'm showing 45 volts. Now, I don't know what the voltage cutoff is on this battery. Typically on a 48 volt battery, the shutoff is about 36 volts, something like that. Depends on what the manufacturer sets it at. But we are at 45 volts. That means I got 10 more volts to burn. Let's keep going. Back here. Got these 4-wheel drive tires on the scooter right here right now. Off-road scooter? Yes, please. So our battery's dead. Am I mad? No. Am I disappointed? No. Would I rather not be pushing my scooter? Yes. But with that being said, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew that the scooter was not gonna get 50 miles. A lot of times, manufacturers of electric toys or scooters, PEVs, will oversell the distance or the range as well as the top speed of said product. So I kind of expected this. So we got 20 something miles. I'll put the recap here of what we got in total for the ride. That's in mode 2, like I said. But at the end of the day, is the Ausom Leopard really awesome? Yeah, I think so. I think it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything and it helps the channel a ton. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Later.
Mic check.